Hi, and welcome to the Virgin River Cafe Rewatch podcast. Good morning, Gigi.
Good morning, Tracy. How are you today?
I'm fine. The weather, it rained today. Now, some people are
Lovely.
like, so what? Like, you don't understand. We live in Southern California. Before, like
It never,
last year, it never rains.
never rains.
Like, earthquakes are more the norm than rain. I know that's a bizarre concept, but
It
they
is.
even had a commercial about it where it was the earthquake and everybody's just sitting there like doing their thing, but then it rains and everyone is like getting their phones out and running to the window and it's like, oh my gosh, it's like we've never seen it before. Yeah. Yeah, I heard the pitter patter this morning and I actually got a little excited. That means fall is it's coming.
It's here.
It's
It's
much
coming.
cooler today. I didn't get a hot coffee because I can't. It's just, I mean, it has to be like below zero for me to drink hot coffee.
I understand. I
but
get it.
it's cooler. It was much. I actually had to grab my cozy sweater today, which I was so excited to do.
Look at
I
you.
know, I was so excited. So, what are you drinking today, Gigi?
Today I'm having a latte, a
Mm,
mocha latte.
a mocha latte. Oh, we're back on chocolate again.
I'm back on chocolate.
Good for
You
you.
a day without chocolate is not a good day as far as I'm concerned.
I'm glad you could have it in your coffee. I'm
Yes,
I'm
makes it good.
sticking with the fall theme because I'm
Uh-huh.
trying one of the newer drinks at one of the local places here. It's a pumpkin latte, iced of course,
Mm-hmm.
with a
Of
little
course.
cold foam on top because I'm loving the cold foam.
Well, that's okay. It's your thing.
Yep, so I'm gonna enjoy that while we chat today about
All
season
right.
2. Yes, here we are. We're knee deep in season 2. So let's get started.
Season 2, Episode 4, Rumor Has It.
Rumor
Mm,
has
mm,
oh,
mm.
the townspeople attend a picnic steeped in friendly competition, romantic squabbles, and gossip about Mel and Jack. Yeah, the gossip. Wow. Mm-hmm. Will people not go to the lengths that they go to? Yeah. This is a fun episode. This one, wow. Okay. Well, let's get started. We have to start off with the scenery, the beautiful
Mm,
scenery. I it's breathtaking and
yes.
it must be cool out because Mel is jogging, but she's like got a hat and a raincoat and she's looking like it's a bit cool out in the morning. And as she's jogging, she stumbles upon Jack fishing.
Yes. His favorite pastime.
Yes, he likes to just kind of get away. It's early in the morning. Looks like it's bare- barely the day has started. She runs into Jack and she tells him that Ricky told her that he was there. And he was like, oh, I kind of was trying to keep it secret. And she's like, oh, do you need to be alone? I can go. And he's like, no, no, it's fine. And she thought that he would be getting ready for the picnic because there's this picnic coming, the town picnic that everybody knows about that's happening. And he just kind of looks down in the dumps and he's like, maybe later. And she's like, I haven't seen you in a couple days. He's trying to sort out some stuff, as
Yeah.
he explains.
Well, it's a big deal as she points out having twins,
Having,
and
yeah,
and having twins with a woman who he isn't in love with,
yeah,
and trying to figure out how this is all going to come together and how they're going to make this work for them. He needs some space, and when you're
fishing,
out in
fishing
yeah,
helps.
yeah, exactly. Fishing helps, and he can throw his line and
Think,
hopefully throw his problems out with the water, and and somehow figure out a way to figure out how he's going to do all this and still be in a relationship with Mel as well.
well, and
So
it's interesting because the two of them have established that they're friends. Clearly, they've crossed that
yes.
line, but they've pulled it back a bit. And
Hmm.
I feel like this conversation is like the start of what becomes their real friendship. Like they
Yeah.
do become friends. I mean, they crossed the line and slept together, but because they've decided that okay, we're not going to do that at least for now, um, and try and just be friends. Because of that, I feel like they're able to have this conversation because he says to her, what am I going to do? And like she's legitimately walking him through it, talking to him about it, letting him talk about it, letting him process it, which is exactly what he needed. Because, I mean, how many people in this town could he have this conversation with?
Yeah, that's true.
Right? I
Not
mean,
very many.
I mean, that's an intimate conversation. Like, I got this woman pregnant. What am I going to, like, yeah, he might be able to talk to preacher about it, but not like this, not to this level. And I feel like
Also, the fact,
she
yeah,
can
but also the
empathize.
fact is that Preacher has no children, and Mel has been around children or babies as such,
Right.
and
She gets it on a different
so
level.
yeah,
Absolutely.
so that's the thing. But he has that such a worried look on his face.
And he's just concerned. He's like, what? I mean, he's never really been in a real relationship. Find things out as time goes on, but I mean, he's 40 something years old and he's never
Yeah.
had like a real relationship. It's been a fly by the seat of your pants kind of thing. And he's like, what if I screw this up? I mean,
Hmm.
he's just worried cuz he's looking at the relationship of him and his father and how that's not great.
Not exactly. I was
It's
now about
great
to
with
say
his
that.
mom, but his
Yes.
dad,
That,
mm.
yeah.
And it's
He
like
his
that's his example.
Yeah, and he's trying to avoid going down that same path that his father
Exactly.
went down.
Exactly. He's just
So
trying not to. And he's like, "Look, I'm going to be there for Charmaine. I'm going to support her, but he's starting to realize that he has no idea what that means. What that
what entails, yeah.
No, I mean, he's like, yeah, I'm going to be there for you. I'm going to, help you. But, well, he's never been a father. He's been an uncle, but he's not
Mm,
even around his nieces and nephews.
right.
So, I mean, he doesn't know. I mean, the closest thing he's come to fatherhood would be like Ricky. And Ricky was somewhat
Yeah.
grown by the time
Yeah, Ricky came to
when
town,
he
yeah.
came to town. I mean, it's hard to really determine how old he was, but it seems like he was young, like
Probably,
10,
yeah,
12
I was
ish,
now, but yeah, 10, yeah, I was gonna say 10 years old or so.
something like
So,
that. So, I mean, he
yeah.
was already beyond the baby stages and the,
Mm,
elementary age,
yeah,
where now
yeah.
it's more like mentoring him and guiding him and helping him be a man. And that's not that hard because it's not his child. There's not that level of responsibility. It's sort of like an overseeing kind of a big brother, uncle type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this, and now there's
Is
two of them. I mean,
mm-hmm.
he's some level of him is freaking out. And
I
of
don't blame him.
and Mel's like, well, does Charmaine know what she wants? And of course, Charmaine it wants probably them to live together and raise the babies together, and he's like, no, like I'm not in love with her. I don't want to live with her. I don't want to do that because that's not what I want in my life, and that's not fair. It's not fair to the kids. It's not fair to her to pretend we're a family when we're not a family,
Right.
you know?
Mm.
And poor guy. I mean, he's just like twice the manpower, twice the money. Like, how am I going to do that? He doesn't even, he wants to be there. He wants to be a dad that shows up, that is there. Short of living together, how can he make that happen? I mean, is he going to shuttle kids back and forth? And she reminds him that you live in a town that comes together when people need help. And as long as you're willing to ask for help, people will help you, especially it's
That's true.
Jack. I mean, it's
Yeah,
Jack.
it's Jack.
Everyone would show up for him.
That's true. They do
So,
love him,
yeah.
and he is the town's.
He's like
He's the
this
town's.
like the town's mayor in a way without being the mayor even though Hope is the mayor. It's like
That's
Jack
true. Well,
Jack's
he's the adopted son of everybody.
yeah.
You know what I
He really
mean?
is.
He is the
He's
adopted
everything to
son.
everybody.
Yeah. So that's the thing. That's the thing about living in a small town. It has its pros and cons, and
Yeah.
that's one of the pros to
Yes.
having living in a small town.
Yep,
So,
everyone is there for you, which is really
yep.
nice. Everyone is also in your business, which is
Business.
which is not always the nicest thing, but
We're in sync where these things are this morning.
and you know what? Jack lives all of it. So he's got the
Yeah,
good and the bad.
yeah. Well,
And
he knew what he got into once he settled into this town. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he knows all the characters. Let's just say that he's fully aware of their flaws and their strengths. So anyway,
So Mel tries to like lighten the mood, change the subject, get his mind off of it, and so she starts asking him about fishing. She's like, "So, are they biting? Is anything happening here?" And so then he corrects her on what the fishing pole is. Not a fishing pole, it's a rod. And then she's like, "Well, how are you catching anything that's not even in the water?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, at some point I'll get it in there." And so he's there to like get away from it all. And she's like, isn't this supposed to be relaxing? And it's like, yeah. And he's like, have you ever fished before? It's like, no. It's like, can I show you? You want to look? You want to try? And so he gives her it's a very cute scene where he's showing her like how to hold it and what to do with it. Just like, put your hand here, put this here, put your finger there. So she's trying to like hold it the right way. And it's just cute how he's like, they're looking at each other and she's like really trying, like, okay, I'm very hesitant, but and then you're gonna aim it at the water and it's like, well, yeah, that's where the fish are, right? And so he's giving her very detailed instructions, and then she casts the line and she does a good job. I mean, she does a good job. So now they're fishing. So then she makes a comment that was easy. And he was like, well, she's like, well, you know what that means then. And he's like, what? It's like, well, if I can learn how to fish, then. And he's like, what? You're going to compare raising twins to fishing? I beg to differ. I don't think so. And then she's funny. She's like, what? You're minimizing my first fishing related experience? And he goes, oh, nice. And she's like, yeah. And he's like, feisty. So, a little banter to kind of
yes,
get his mind off of things. And
yes,
so
help him relax and come
yeah,
down from the high that he's on.
that emotional
Yes,
roller coaster
roller
that he's on right
coaster.
now.
Hmm.
So they spend a little time fishing, which is probably good for both of them. So now we are back at Hope's house. And Jack shows up with groceries because he's that guy. So she's asking him how things are. And he says, I got you some chicken noodle soup and some crackers, knowing that she's very nauseous. She's really having a hard time keeping things down. And she's like, I tried to call you, but
So this is the other thing with Charmaine.
Mm-hmm.
She is fishing for information. Sorry to use that punt.
Hey, it
But
fits.
it's like when we see her before Jack walks in the door, she's pacing the floor like an expecting father, or
Right.
your kid's been out all night and you don't know where they've been. It's
Right.
like, what are you doing? It's not your job to keep track of Jack. You know what I
Well,
mean?
she
And well, she
feels
feels
like she
yeah,
should.
should. I know she feels like she should. So when she says she called his phone and he didn't, and he now explaining to her that he went out fishing, now nitpicking at
And he's
where
like,
he
well,
was.
that when out there on the lake that the reception is spotty. So, yeah, you weren't probably going to reach me, but that's where I was. And he's
Yes.
just worried about how are you feeling? She's like a
Mm,
little better. Well, here I brought you some things that I thought. And I mean, he's doing what he can.
yes.
And so, of course, she has to ask, did you go alone? And he's like, well, yeah, I did. But then Mel stopped by
Mm.
and
And this is the thing about
to him,
Jack.
it's like no big deal. And she's like,
Right.
"Oh, how thoughtful of her." It's like, ugh. He's like, "Okay, all right, let's deal with this right here, right now."
Yeah.
He's like, "I don't want to play any games. There's something you want to say, just say it. Like, come out and say it." And she's like, "All right, fine. Are you and Mel dating?" And he's like, "No." And she's like, "Mm-hmm. Are you sleeping with her?" And then he's like, well, I think for everyone, maybe we shouldn't discuss Mel. And then she gets very indignant. She's like, did it happen while we were still together? And he's like, I will pretend you didn't ask me that. Because bottom line, he wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, he kind of pursued Mel without really pursuing her while they
Yeah.
were still together. But literally the second they broke up, it's
Yeah.
like,
It was free. It was free for all.
yeah,
He
was
got
free.
license.
He could
He
do
can
whatever
do
he wanted.
he
He in
wanted exactly.
his moral compass was clear.
Hmm.
He was now finished with Charmaine. He could move on and try to pursue prior to finding out she's pregnant.
Yep.
So then of course, she has to ask, "Okay, so you started having sex with her after we broke up." And he doesn't even want to answer. But he's an honest guy and he doesn't want to lie. And he's like, we did. And she's like, uh-huh, once. And she's like, okay. Like, she didn't want to hear that. She's like, Charmaine,
Oh, I
I
know.
don't want to hurt you, which is exactly why I don't want to discuss my personal life. And she's like, you're right. And
You
thank you
shouldn't
for
ask.
being honest with me.
Yeah, yeah, you can tell how she appreciated that answer
Well, she's
by the look
acting
on.
right now. I mean, she's putting on a
Yes.
brave face. And he even says
Mm-hmm.
to her, look, I would never lie to you. And, and she's like, I know that. And I mean, in a way, she appreciates the fact that he will never lie. He's always told her the truth about anything and everything. So he says, well, I got to go. I got to help preacher set up for the picnic. And she's like, well, since I can't go, you think that maybe you could come over here, afterward and to spend the night. She just doesn't want to be alone. Just one night. And he's like, look, I thought about it and it's really a bad idea now that he's sleeping with Mel. You know,
Mm-hmm.
he's like, I just want to keep our boundaries, maintain our boundaries. There's no confusion where we stand. He's trying to maintain. They have a friendly relationship. So I love her. She's like, okay, yeah, I understand. And he's like, good. I'm glad we cleared that up.
And you can tell that that
She's
was
not
not the
good.
response.
She is not good.
Yeah.
There's no
No.
way she's good.
Now she's not happy with that
Oh,
response.
no, no.
Nope, nope, nope. So now we come to a lovely setting where we have people playing a violin.
Mm-hmm.
We see Doc
Mariel and Doc.
Doc.
They're so cute.
And who should walk in? Ivy.
Mm-hmm. Joellen and her husband show up also to this little Vivaldi instrumental thing.
Yes. And Joellen can't keep a secret if her life depended on it.
No, and she spots Doc and Muriel from across the room, and they're chatting about the program, and he forgot his glasses, and she's like, oh, let me help you. Yes, and let's get cozy, and we'll read it together. We'll just look at it together. It's fine. And Joellen is just like, oh, they're a little, what am I looking at? She nudges her husband, and she's like, look. He's like, what am I looking at? She's like, look, it's Doc. It's Doc and Muriel. He's like, yeah. And you know what that means. Yeah, I hope it's something we can get out of this boring concert.
But what happens is she sees because Doc doesn't have his glasses on.
Right.
He has to lean
right.
into.
That's what she's seeing. She's seeing.
So she's seeing from the back where their heads are together. So she's getting a very different perspective.
It's very innocent. Yeah. Like, oh my goodness.
Oh, yes. So now we come to Lizzie, who is walking up to the clinic.
Mel is just leaving. She was headed out, and Lizzie's like, she's like, well, I need something. And she's like, well, can I help you tomorrow? And she's like, I'd really rather do it now. And she goes, so anything I tell you is private, right? Because I'm like 19. And she goes, yes. You're 19. Everything is confidential. She says, because if my aunt knew I was here, she would literally burst into flames. She goes, well, I hope that's an exaggeration. She's like, no, it's not. She's like, okay, fair enough. Let's go. So now they've been setting up for the picnic. It's a community picnic. It's a lot of fun music.
Yes. And they have a band. They have a band playing.
Yeah, the song's really good. Actually, the song's really good.
Mm-hmm. And Jack is getting ready to barbecue. So he's putting on
him and Preacher in charge of the grill. They're making hot dogs and hamburgers, and Ricky's over there helping. And a lot of the townspeople are here. Doc was dancing with some people, and
so once the music has stopped, the mayor, Pope, comes up to the stage and says it's the 33rd annual Virgin River
community picnic.
And the money that they raise there helps a family.
Yes, they choose a family.
That has had a tough year, and this year it goes to the Hamiltons.
They were hit hard with the storm last month,
right? And so she's talking about the major events, which is the egg race.
Yep, and the winner gets all of the marbles. It's a jar full of marbles, like. It's goofy, but silly, but totally fun.
Every tongue's got to have their thing, and that's their thing.
Yep.
So
So she kicks off the event.
she
Let the fun
does.
begin.
So
Looks like the
every
whole town is there.
it sure is, and
Now, Doc
now Doc,
takes this very seriously.
he does.
He is
He
a hardcore competitor
yes, he's very competitive, and she is supposed to be his partner
for the egg
at
race.
for the egg race. And Hope, the minute that she gets involved in something, she's all over the place.
Yes.
She's got to be in everything. She's got to be here, there, and
And
everywhere.
she is
And
the
Doc,
mayor, so technically she should
right? And that
be, but, you
I
know.
get that, but she knows this is important to Doc. That's the whole thing.
Does she, though?
So maybe I don't know.
I
Well,
mean,
later on, we find out in as we go along, maybe she doesn't realize how important it
but
is.
he's
So
trying to explain to her. I mean, he comes up to her and he's like, these other people, they're here and they've been practicing, and he's just trying to like explain that. She's like, we have it in the bag because they win every year. Well, Charles just had a hip replacement, and Nancy's a retired gymnast, and she's like, oh, it's adorable that you're so competitive about something so silly. They've won 7 years in a row. It's his legacy. He's like ready, like he's preparing, like this is a big deal for him. And
yep.
she's kind of blowing him off.
Yeah.
So Joellen runs into her and
I don't think Joellen ran into her. Joellen was looking for her. There's no running into her. Do it. Let's not fool each other here.
And she's like,
she,
are things okay with you and Doc? And
because she dove right into it. She asked about, if things are okay, and if, because she saw them together.
Right. She's like, we're just friends. It's fine, And she goes, oh, because I saw him with Muriel and they were canoodling. And she's like, canoodling? Really? Really, Joellen? And so she's like, you're okay with it? And she's like, yeah, we're fine. We're good. And she goes, you're not jealous? She goes, of course not. Just canoodling just doesn't sound like Vernon. She goes, oh, well, you can ask. If you don't believe me, you can ask Nick, because he sat right beside me and he saw it too. So she's happy because she's like, okay, good. They were showing affection in public, and that'll throw everyone off the scent that we're together. I don't know what she's trying to accomplish. Like, if anything, she's confusing the poor man as to who he really wants to be with, because he's having a really good time with Muriel. I mean, I feel bad for Muriel because eventually he's going to have to let her down if that's the way, things go. But I just don't feel like that's appropriate. I mean, maybe one date just to give them a minute to, like, collect themselves. Yeah. But this going on and on is silly.
And as we pointed out, this is such a small town.
Yeah.
Just get it over and done with. Take the bull by the horns, as they say.
No, that's not her. So now we come to Jack and Preacher, and they're cooking on the grill, and Connie shows up, and she needs the extra key to the bakery truck because Lizzie lost it. She's like, oh my God, that girl. What am I going to do with her? Preacher thinks that there might be a key at Paige's house, which apparently she still has her house. She was getting ready to move in with Preacher, but she never actually did. And so he's going to, as soon as he gets a minute, he's going to go fetch that key for her. So in the meantime, Mel shows up at the picnic.
This is one of my favorite scenes because she shows up at the picnic, and as she's walking through the grounds, everybody is staring at her.
And it's watching her, staring at her, and she's looking around like, what?
Exactly.
Like do I have neon? Am I have toilet paper hanging off my foot? And then Jack sees her and he's like, oh, I thought maybe you changed your mind and didn't want to come. And she's like, oh, no. And then she's looking around, everybody, and she's talking to Jack. And I mean, which makes sense if you know why they're staring. Her and Jack are talking, and now everybody's looking at them.
Yeah. And if you notice, Jack is oblivious to what's happening.
He's generally oblivious. I mean, she's oblivious because she doesn't know yet why they're staring, but he doesn't care. He's just like, well. So she said, oh, I had some business at the clinic I had to attend to, so that's why I'm a little late. So he says, hey, Preach. And she's like, is it just me or are people staring at me? Now, because he's a man and he's in love with her, what does he say? Well, can you blame them? Look at the dress. You're a knockout. I mean, yeah, she looks good, but
not good enough
for the entire town to be like eyeballing her. Because he's looking her
Uh,
up and down and giving
but
her a
his
smile
but
and,
exactly, but his intentions are different than everybody
oh,
else's in the
clearly. Clearly. And they know what those intentions are now. They may not have known the day before, but they sure do know now. And he's like, oh, no, it's the dress. Trust me. And so he gets Preacher's attention. He's like, right, Preach? It's the dress. And Preacher's like, yeah, you look nice. And she's like, yeah, thanks, but I don't think that Ricky's grandmother oogling my dress is. I don't think it's for the dress. And he's like, oh, you're just a little paranoid. People around here are just friendlier than you're used to. And, people are friendly in LA. And he's like, oh, is that a point you want to debate? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, okay, go. And they're like, I don't. I'm gonna go help Hope. I'm gonna find Hope. And they're eyeballing each other and very cute, very like playful, little flirty. It's very cute. The dimples. I mean, for
Yes,
real.
yeah, both of them with the dimples.
Swoon. Okay, we'll move on. Now Ricky is also eyeballing a girl, and who does he see
Mhm.
walking by? He
Miss
sees
Spoiled Brat Lizzie.
Lizzie. Jack, being the mentor that he is, he's like, you can just go over and talk to her. And he's like, oh, well, yeah, I tried that, and then I get all tongue-tied. He goes, well, some girls think that's cute. He goes, I do not want her to think I'm cute. And Jack is like, trust me, that is not a bad place to start. I mean, it is. He's a nice boy. And he's like, come on, just go give it a try. He's like, yeah, maybe I'll try after I finish with these burgers. Stall. Jack's like, all right, whatever, dude.
So now we're seeing Hope at the donation table. She's taking donations, and then Mel shows up and she's basically telling Mel,
She recruits
I
Mel
need
to work the donation table.
that's yeah, so she needs to log all the amount and the names and the emails. Mel is now going to take her place at the table.
She gives her
And
like 2 seconds of instruction and is like, so do we accept checks, cash? Yes, bye. And she's gone. Just out there, like, figure it out. Mel barely gets started, and this woman walks up and she wants to make a donation and she wants to use a credit card. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. We don't take credit cards. It's cash or check only. She's like, no problem. So she reaches in her wallet and as she's getting her cash, Mel notices her necklace and she's like, oh, it's from this little hole in the wall place in San Francisco, specializes in Chanel. And now Mel is from LA, from big cities, so she's very familiar. I think she also, because she had a doctor as a husband, she's well versed in finer
the
things.
finer things in life, yes.
Right. So she appreciates this woman's jewelry. So they sort of chit chat for a moment. They introduce themselves. Her name is Jamie. And she asks if she just moved to town or what have you. And she's like, oh, no. And she explains that she owns a restaurant in San Francisco and that once a year she likes to take a month and just go to some remote place and just clear her head. And that's when Mel says, you know what? You should go to Jack's bar. The chef there does amazing. She goes, a bar? Really? She goes, yeah, Preacher does some amazing things with food. And she's like, okay, I'll check it out. And then these people are walking by just staring her down, like looking at Mel like something is wrong. And she asked this woman, Jamie, she's like, is my hair sticking up? Like, what is going on? And she's like, no, your hair's perfect. She's like, I don't get it. Like, I don't know. She goes, well, it beats being invisible. And she excuses herself. They say, see you around, and off she goes. So then Joellen pops in line. She butts in line. She hands in her a donation, and she asks how she is. How's everything going? And she's like, fine, how are you? And then she says, Mel, I am so proud of you for being here. And she's like, I'm not the only one volunteering. She's like, yeah, but I want you to know that I am on your side. Mel's like, okay. And she gives her a thumbs up. She says, thank you, walks away. It's like bizarro.
And Mel has this look of total confusion. Like, what the hell just happened there?
Like, bizarre.
What is she what is she talking about?
Yeah.
We now see Connie
at the bakery truck. She's running the bakery truck.
Right. with Lizzie.
Mm-hmm.
Doc is there getting a little snack,
Yep.
and he walks away. And at the same time, she's got a
Connie's,
tracker.
yeah. Connie had got a phone call saying she's got to go track down a bouncy castle, and she wants to put Lizzie in charge. And she's like, wait a minute. You can't do that. I mean, I don't want to be here by myself. She goes, oh, you have a line of customers to keep you company. And she's like, well, what am I supposed to do? She's like, you listen for the timer, you take the bread out when it's supposed to. And then she reminds her that she might be breaking a bunch of child labor laws. And she goes, it's a charity event, which means we're all donating our time. You'll be fine. She's definitely taking Hope's advice about being tough love on her.
Oh, definitely.
She tells her, quit whining and don't burn the croissants.
And you said that excellent.
Thank you.
Where you
I know, because you speak French.
Well, it's just that some Americans, they have their way of saying things, and then, and the French get very upset when you don't say things. I don't care.
Yeah, I
It's
know,
not
but I
good
thought
off
it was funny. I've seen Ratatouille. So
I hate that movie.
I love it. Well, we had pet
no,
rats, so my
okay,
kids.
I have to reverse that. It's
Okay.
not that I hate the movie. The movie's a great movie.
It is a great movie.
It's just that when you've worked in a kitchen and the thought of rats cooking food and the amount of rats that you see in that restaurant, especially at the end,
yeah,
I totally have a grossed out feeling.
I get
and
that.
I watched that movie once. I have never watched it again.
Well, my kids, they had pet rats. They had Dumbo rats, which are big ears, and they were adorable. I never touched them, but they were our pandemic pets. And every year on the rats' birthdays, they would make them a little cake, and we would all sit and watch Ratatouille with our pet rats.
Oh, Lord.
I mean, it is.
You got to do something. I know. Anyway,
may they rest in peace, our little rats, Clover and Honey. They lived a long time. They were the Betty White of rats. Even the vet said so. They lived a very long time.
I guess so.
So now we have Hope, and she is checking on everything, running into Connie, making sure that Connie is doing what she needs to do. Preacher had to leave to go get the keys, and where nobody is where they're supposed to be. She's like, it's herding cats, She goes, and then Connie reminds her, oh, by the way, Doc's looking for you. He was looking for Hope earlier. Now, then we have Jack, and he's brewing up some burgers and hot dogs, and Lily comes up and she would like a burger. And so he's checking in on her, like, how's Chloe? She's taking a nap, and Liddy's looking after her, and Jack's like, yeah, the nap sounds really good right now. And then Lily shares like a secret with Jack, and she's like, look, I didn't want to say anything, but we got an offer for the farm, and it's, it's not a finalized offer yet, but I'm just so excited. You're the first person that I am telling, and I can't believe it. And he was like, I didn't know that you were planning to sell. And she goes, yeah, but it's such a good offer. And he's like, where are you going to end up? Oh, I'll just get a smaller place closer to town. No big deal. Just really excited. And Jack's very perplexed about this. And he goes, so who's buying it? And she's like, oh, Emerald Lumber. And he's like, a lumber company wants to buy your farm? And she says that, yeah, they want to diversify. And he's like, yeah, but you don't have any trees on your property. Yeah, but Brady said that they want to restore it to its former glory. They want to do all these things. They have all these big plans. And he's questioning Brady. Oh, yeah, he's representing the lawyer. And since you and him are such good friends, it feels like I'm doing business with you. Wish me luck. And
Jack
the look
has
on,
that look on Jack's face.
Very skeptical like that.
But not only that, you can tell Jack is not happy.
Well, he knows Brady's hooked up with Calvin.
Exactly.
And he knows that Brady is involved with whatever shenanigans Calvin's involved in. Mm-hmm. And if Calvin is behind Emerald Lumber, then there's no good that's going to come from this.
Yeah, it's got Calvin written all over.
Oh,
it.
for sure.
It's
So,
got Calvin Ricky.
and
Oh,
Jack is not going to leave that alone. He's going to have to
oh
go.
hell no.
Yeah, he's going to
No,
check into that.
especially because he cares for Lily and he's not going to let anything happen to
Oh,
Lily.
yeah. I mean,
So
remember when he was there for Lily and Chloe and that
so
whole thing? I
exactly.
mean, that's,
Exactly. Yeah.
again,
So
everyone's in everyone's business, but everyone is like family. Like, that's,
yeah.
you're not going to mess with Lily. No, that's not happening.
Yeah. So
So,
now we see Ricky coming up to the donation table where Mel is,
mm-hmm.
and he's telling her that his grandmother is donating money. Hands her the envelope.
She wrote a note to the
That
Hamiltons and could
yeah,
Mel include it with the donation because, that's just Lily. She's a very nice person.
yeah, she
And she's like,
is.
oh, yes, of course. And she goes, Ricky, wait a second. Can I ask you a question? And he was like, well, yeah, sure. She said, people keep coming up to me and telling me that they're on my side. Do you know what that means? And he was like, well, yeah, that they're on your side. And she goes, yeah, but my side of what? Like I don't understand. And he's like, well, I don't think I should be the person to do. Ricky. She's like, Ricky, it's driving me crazy. Please tell me what's going on. And reluctantly, he's like,
Mhm.
look, my grandma heard from her hairdresser in Clear River. Now, what does that tell you?
Oh yeah, we know where this is from the minute
Where's the
it
source?
all stuff exactly. You say a Clear River, and it immediately points to Charmaine.
Yep. My grandma heard from her hairdresser in Clear River that you had sex with Jack to steal him away from Charmaine. And the look on Mel's face,
It's
I
it's a
mean,
cartoon expression.
yeah.
It's like a
It's like the
cartoon
one where the
expression.
eyes pop out of your head and then the top of
Exactly.
your head explodes. And she's like, what? He's like, just so you know, okay, like me and my grandma, we're totally on Team Mel.
Email.
And she's looking around like all the way 100%. She's like, wait a minute, Team Mel? You mean is there a Team Charmaine? And he's like, well, yeah, of course. She's like, Ricky, are you trying to tell me that the whole town is talking about this? And he's honest. He's like, well, probably not the entire town. She's like, oh my god. Oh, and he grabs his phone. He's like, oh, I'm getting a call. I probably should take this. I gotta go. I'm sorry. You gotta get out of here.
Ah,
And
poor Ricky.
she's looking around, going, oh my god. Just makes a beeline to who?
Yeah,
Jack.
to Jack.
Now he's unloading his truck. He's got a bunch of stuff, and she walks up to him and she's like, it's not my dress.
Not the-
And he's like, huh? She's like, what? What? He says, there are teams, Jack. Teams. And he was like, yeah, for the egg race. No, for us. There's a Team Charmaine and a Team Mel. Apparently, everybody thinks we slept together. And he was like, he kind of does this little like, well, yeah, we did sleep together. She's like, yeah, but only you and I are the only ones that know, right? And his,
That
oh my God,
is.
you want to shake him. He's like, she's like,
And
right?
she says, right?
And he's like, Jack. And he's like, and you can tell,
And the look on her face is like, you got
I'm
to
going
be
to kill you.
flipping kidding.
I'm going to kill
Exactly.
you. Like, literally, it just happened.
Exactly. It's just like, she's like, you cannot be this much of an idiot.
Yeah.
Really?
It's like, look, Charmaine asked me yesterday, point blank. And she's like, oh my God. What was I going to do? Lie to her yesterday? And she's like, yeah, when I got back from fishing. It's like, wow, she must have been working the phones all night.
He said, she seemed fine to me. Yeah.
She's not fine. And he kind of chuckles a little bit, and she's like, it's not funny. He goes, no, it's ridiculous. I'm not, it's not funny. It's like, well, what can I do? She's like, yeah, try muzzling your girlfriend. And he's like, oh man, I'm in the dog house.
Yep, he's in the doghouse.
Oh my gosh.
So now we come to Preacher, who comes into.
He left to go to Page's to look for that key, that extra key to the bakery truck. Like, I don't know how he knows where to look, but he's looking.
Well, he doesn't. He's opening up drawers.
He found it,
and then he finds the key, and then the phone starts to ring.
He hears a phone ringing because remember he had told her, "Don't bring anything with you."
Yeah.
You leave everything behind. Only take what you can fit in your trunk because we don't want anybody to like say anything about you leaving. So he
He's
has the
looking at
phone and he's
the phone, and
somebody
he's
is trying to call and look for Wes and they can't find him. There were 4 messages and it's like, Wes, where are you? Wes, I can't find
yeah,
you. Wes, why aren't you calling me back?
right. So apparently it's Wes's phone that's
Mm-hmm.
been plugged in.
Yeah, which I don't know why that would still be there, but whatever. Oh, he was staying
I
there. That's right. Remember, he stayed overnight. He probably plugged his phone
right.
in and then he fell down the steps and died and,
Yeah.
and that kind of prevented him from getting his phone.
Yep. That's how what happens when you're being a mean guy.
Yep.
So now we're back at the picnic, and Doc is by the lake and he's pacing back and forward. And who should show up but Mary?
Muriel.
And she's, asking him, you know, he's
Where's
waiting on,
He's waiting
where's
on
Hope?
Hope because they're
Hope.
supposed to be coming up with their strategy or practicing for the egg race. And,
Mm-hmm.
he's pissed because she can't be bothered with it. And, they're the team to beat every year. And so Muriel's like, well, you know what? If you can't find a partner, I'll be your partner. And, maybe you can give me some tips. And he's like, okay, it's all about he's taking it very seriously. He's like, it's
Oh,
all about
yeah.
the transfer. So when I run to this end and I pass you the egg and my spoon to yours, and this is it's an egg race, dude. Like, calm down. He's like, run, 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 run. And she's like, oh, yeah, I got it. Great. And then why she has to hug him after that, I don't understand, but she's a whatever. And then Hope walks up and he's like, where have you been? We have to do this. And she's like, I'm mayor. Like, I have things to do. I don't really have time to be dealing with an egg race, but whatever. So she sort of excuses Muriel so that they can have a conversation. And of course, Hope is putting her foot in it again. She's like, maybe you and Muriel should do the egg race. And if you're partners, people think you two are a thing. No one will suspect that we're back together. And he was like, he's done. He is so done with all this. He's like, look, one time is fine, but this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. He goes, but it's just a game, Vernon. And he's like, well, it isn't to me. Like, this is important to him, and she just can't understand that. She keeps throwing him off about it.
She doesn't understand that she's dealing with people's feelings.
Mm-hmm.
You would think after the whole incident with Jack, she would have learned by now, but apparently not.
No. We're back at the bakery truck, and Ricky has built up a little courage to talk to Lizzie, and he asks her if she would like to be his partner for the egg race. And she's like, I don't even know what that is. It's like, well, it's a relay race where you have an egg and a spoon. And she was like, he's like, I always wanted to do it, but I never really had a partner. And she's like, sure, no problem. So, I'll meet you by the stage. And she kind of talks him into taking over for her because she needs a break. Now, her break is finding Brady. And he's playing a game. And she walks up to him and is like, I want that stuffed animal. And so he hits the mark. He wins the stuffed animal. And, oh, isn't that so cute? And she's just oogling him like an older man. Now, you figure he's probably late 20s, early 30s?
I would say, well, if he was in the war with Jack.
But he was young. He was one of the younger guys.
Right. Yeah, but he's a younger guy. But I would say he's in his 30s, at least. He's not in his 20s. I would say he's in his 30s.
Like early 30s? Yeah.
His early 30s. And she is barely... She's
19. Even... She is 19. She is a youngin'. But, she's looking for... She can spot the bad boy.
Oh, yeah.
In a crowd. So,
she does.
She's eyeballing him.
Mm-hmm.
So, now it's time for the egg race.
Egg race.
So, so Hope is up on the stage and... She's like, you've got 5 minutes, find your partner. Now we're back at the bakery truck and Connie's like, where is Lizzie? And he thanks him for Ricky for helping out, but it's like, oh my God, that girl is allergic to work. Because she finds every chance possible to not be there.
Oh God, yes.
Now Ricky just heard the announcement for the egg race, and so he's got to get going because him and Lizzie are supposed to do it. At the same time, Preacher returns, finds the key, and is like, please don't lose this one. This is the only only one I've got. And she says to him, preacher, are you okay? Because you seem a little upset. And, you can trust me with whatever's got you upset. And he kind of stops and thinks a minute. And she's like, look, everybody thinks I'm a nosy Parker, that I'm a gossip. But when it comes to serious things, I can keep confidence. So if you ever want to talk about it, whatever happened between Paige and Wes, you know where to find me. And so he's like, okay, all right, put a pin in that one. Maybe we'll address that later. Now, at the same time, she's moving some stuff around in the bakery truck. Lizzie's purse falls on the floor. And what happens to fall out amongst all of her things? A prescription.
Yep.
Connie is not happy about it.
Oh, nope, not at all. So we're back to the crowd of people getting ready for the egg race. And Jack
sees Mel.
And Jack needs to apologize.
Yeah.
Which he does.
He's like, I've been looking for you. I understand why you're upset, and I'm sorry. She's like, yeah, it's fine. I mean, she asked you a question and you told her the truth. I mean, there's really nothing to apologize for. I mean, it sucks, but, He's like, well, it seems really bad right now, but everybody's going to be gossiping about something else tomorrow. She reminds him that everybody at that picnic could be a patient of hers one day. And if in their mind, all they think about is, Mel stole Charmaine's boyfriend away, what are they going to think of her? And how are they going to trust her? And without trust, how is she supposed to do her job? And he's like, yeah, but that's not what happened. She's like, it doesn't matter. If that's what people think, that's what they think. People are going to think whatever they want. So he said that he will talk to her. And Mel is like, no, I will talk to her. This is between me and her. And he reminds Mel, remember, she's not my girlfriend. She's like, yeah, I know. So then she asks, will you do something for me? And he was like, anything, like whatever you want. She's like, be my partner. He's like, what? He's like, be my partner. So now they're going to join the egg race.
Oh, and this scene, I'm sorry, this scene makes me really upset.
Yeah.
Hope
really went too far.
Yeah, this pisses me off because at this point, so Hope's on the stage now. She's getting everybody ready, and Doc is waving to her to say, come on, let's do the egg race. And she's like, thumbs up, basically telling him it's okay for him to go and do the egg race with Muriel. And it's just like, really?
Yeah.
You basically throwing him under the bus, as far as I'm concerned. Like, you
told him you were going to be with him in this race, and now you're just like reneging on whatever you just said.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not right. So he turns around, he sees Muriel, and she was like, are you ready? And he's like, yeah, let's win this thing. Because he's determined.
Yeah.
So Jack and Mel are like, Jack's like, are you sure you want to do this? And she's like, yeah, let's give him something new to talk about. And he was like, all right.
That song rings in my head.
Well, and it's funny because on my Instagram page, I actually took all the scenes of them talking about this and talking about the rumor, and I did it to that song, just something to talk about. It actually turned out really, really cute. But it's got the music in the background and the whole scene of her finding out that they're talking about her and that it's a rumor. It turned out really cute. So if you want to see, you can go to my Instagram. So now we have Ricky. Now, remember, Lizzie said that she would do the egg race with him. So he's looking around because he said you got 5 minutes to find your partner. And he's off to the side looking for Lizzie. And she is nowhere to be found. Because you know where she is?
Mm-hmm. She's by the lake on a bench, very secluded, with nobody other than Bad Boy himself.
Bad Boy Brady.
And he's got a bear.
Mm-hmm.
And she asks Brady for a drink, and he says, how old are you? And she lies, and she said she's 23. And he's looking at her like, kid,
right.
I don't think so.
And he's like, well, what will people think? And he's like, well, I've been drinking since I was 13, so I don't care. But people around here probably will care if they see you drinking.
Mm-hmm.
And she gets very indignant. She's like, fine, then I'll go get my own beer. He's like, whatever. I'm so glad that never happened, that relationship was just that, and it ended right there. So now we're back at the egg race, and it looks like the guys run one way and the girls run back. Jack runs down, no problem, and Mel is running back against Muriel. They're in the lead together. And then just at the last second, Muriel turns around to wave and drops her egg, and Mel comes in first. And Doc is very disappointed. And so
Mhm.
Mel waves to Jack like, we won. And he jumps up and down. He runs to her, gives her a big hug. And Hope announces that the winners are Jack Sheridan and Mel Monroe. Everyone is cheering and they're very excited. And Mel takes a bow and they're like, thank you very much. So silly. And Doc is sort of consoling Muriel. It wasn't you. It wasn't you. Yeah, she's the one that dropped the egg. It was her. And
Mhm.
Hope hands over the jar of marbles to Mel and says, you won all the marbles. And so everyone's cheering. They're having a good time. And Ricky's still looking for Lizzie, who is nowhere to be found.
Exactly. And Doc is looking
Doc
at
is
Hope on the
not
stage.
happy.
He's
He's like
he's
pissed.
yeah, he's not, he's just very pissed off at this point.
It's the end of the day,
Right. And
and
Jack is packing up the truck.
packing up to go home, and he's like, are you looking for somebody? She's like, yeah, I was looking for Doc. He goes, oh, he said about 20 minutes ago that he was heading home. And he's like, oh, thanks for letting me know. And Jack asks Hope, was he your ride? He's like, oh, I'm sure he'll be back for you. It's like, she's like, no, he's upset with me. I was emceeing and he wanted to do the thing with me and I blew him off. And Jack, this is like a man, Hope is learning some lessons. Hope
Hmm.
is really learning lessons. And so she says he wanted to do the race with me. And honestly, she didn't think it was that important to him. And Hope, has
And
to
Jack
listen to
says,
Jack. And he's like,
yeah,
when people
yeah.
say something, it's because they want to be heard.
Hmm. And she has that look of, it wasn't intentional. But that's the thing with Hope, is that a lot of it is not intentional. She
No, it's
doesn't
never
think
intentional.
before.
She
She
just
never
acts.
she,
Yeah.
right. She doesn't think. She acts without thinking. And it's sort of like she has the brain waves sometimes of a teenager,
Yeah.
because that's what
It's
teenagers
just,
do.
it's impulsivity all the time
Yes.
with her.
And which I find annoying, because you're a grown ass woman. Get your shit together.
Yeah, no. It's like she acts before she thinks all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And if she would just stop,
That's why I said it's
just a little bit.
because she doesn't realize that what she's doing has consequence. And the thing is, as I keep saying, did she not learn anything from the whole incident with Jack? You
She's
would think that.
trying, but no.
Yeah, I don't think she's trying hard enough, because girlfriend is 2 steps forward and 5 steps backwards.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So Jack offers her a ride home and she's like, I don't want to bother you. And he's like, look, if I didn't want to give you a ride, I wouldn't even offer. And she's like, okay, fine. It's very nice of you. And so he's like, I need like a few more boxes and like 10 minutes. And she's like, all right, I'll go get us some sodas and we'll be on our way. And then he sees Brady. So
Oh yeah.
so he calls him over and Brady's like, And Jack's like, nice car. And he's like, what do you want? He goes, well, Lily told me about the offer she got on her farm. And he's like, why do you care? And he's like, because Calvin is behind Emerald Lumber, right? And he's like, yeah, well, it's a legitimate offer.
Huh.
And says, well, Lily thinks you're going to turn the farm around. And he's like, well, I wonder where she got that idea. And
Mm-hmm.
Jack's like, because she said you told her. He's like, oh, well, maybe she's mistaken.
And I love the view of, they get the both
Well,
of
they
them.
just keep getting closer and closer and
Mhm.
closer. And he's like,
Yeah.
look, I don't appreciate you lying to my friends. So you might want to, reevaluate your sales pitch. He kind of just starts there, leaves it at that.
Yeah. And then we have the showdown of showdowns. Ding ding.
Oh
Each one
my
in their own
gosh.
corner. Yes.
So Mel goes to confront Charmaine.
Yes, I love
And
this part.
she tells her straight, Charmaine, you can think whatever you want about me, but I've done absolutely nothing wrong. In fact, I've gone out of my way to be extra nice to you and to take care of you. And Charmaine's comeback is, yeah, sleeping with Jack was really sweet of you. She goes, yeah, but that doesn't give you the right to spread rumors about me. And she's like, well, not if the rumor is true. Accusing me of having sex with Jack to take him away from you is a straight up lie. And Charmaine comes back with, it's my opinion. Well, then it's not a fact. It's like you can't throw your opinion out there. Yeah, of course it's your opinion, but say it's your opinion. Don't say it like it's fact, because now the entire town is involved. And so she says to Charmaine, I'm going to make it really simple for you. From now on, keep my name out of your mouth. She's like, yeah, well, you're not going to win this because Jack's likes to take care of those who need him the most. And that's me and our babies.
With the twins. Mm-mm-mm.
Yeah, she's like, with twins, he's not going to have much left for you. Mel's like,
Mel says that.
Charmaine, this isn't a competition.
Oh, but it is.
Well, in her mind it is. And she's like, look, I fully support Jack becoming a father. And she goes, yeah, you keep telling yourself that. Now, this is interesting because remember, they're not together.
Mm-hmm.
They've had 2 kisses. They've slept together once. And now they're friends. But yet, Mel says something that's very interesting. She says, no matter what happens, I'm going to be by Jack's side because I only want what's best for him. Now, that's an interesting thing to say.
That's true. That is
when
true.
They're not together, technically.
Yeah.
Now, granted, she wants to be with him. He wants to be with her. Yes, we all know eventually they'll wind up together. But in this moment, they're friends and they're trying to play it cool. But yet it's in a way, I feel like she had to sort of stake her claim without staking her claim with Charmaine. Maybe for nobody else, but just Charmaine to say, look, I know that he doesn't love you. You know that he doesn't love you. I know that he loves me. You know that he loves me. And no matter what happens, I'm going to be on his side, whatever that means. And it was kind of like she doesn't have anything else except his love. Granted, Charmaine's got his babies, but she has his love.
That's right.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, it's a hard place to be.
And when she says, you know, I'm going to be by his side and I'm going to support him. And I love how she says to Charmaine, can you honestly say the same thing? Because she doesn't want what's best for Jack. She just wants Jack. She doesn't care what's best for him. And then, of course, Charmaine fires Mel as her care practitioner. But that's fine. I don't want you anywhere near me. And she goes, yeah, that's fine, because I only agreed to help you because Jack asked me to. And then she storms out of there. It's like, great, wonderful. Here we are. And she walks outside, takes a deep breath. It's like, thank God. Like, she said her piece because there's nothing else she could have done. You know, she said what needed to be said.
And I think Jack put her in a very bad spot. I'm sorry. You know, I understand that
the heart wants what the heart wants.
I get that, but he should have just not gone there. I understand why he did it.
It all happened because he was being honest. He didn't have to be that. I mean, he's painfully honest.
No, I'm talking about the fact that when he asked her to be to help Charmaine, because the thing about it was I felt that was way beyond what he should have asked of her, you know, because I'm thinking if you want somebody to take care of her, then Doc should have been the person.
Yeah, but even Doc said, I'm not qualified.
I get that.
And he only wanted the best, and the best person in the town was Mel.
Her. I get it.
And they didn't want her to move around. They didn't want her to have to go out of town.
I get it, but I still
it was a bad situation.
It's a catch-22 situation.
It was bad no matter how you looked at it. It was just not going to work out.
Yeah.
So now
her firing Mel is not in the best interest of her, because she's just being an idiot, and this is not what she should realize. This is not about her. It's about the health of her babies. But
right. But you know what? I mean, Mel can still treat her like through Doc. Like Doc can do the examinations. He can get the information. He can consult with Mel, and then they can decide what needs to be done, and then he can just do it, as opposed to Mel directly being involved. So, I mean, she's still going to get decent care because Mel's not going to not even indirectly give the right advice. Just because she hates her as a person doesn't mean she doesn't care about her as a patient, you know, because that will always come first. So she'll still get the right care. It just, you know, it's just going to be very complicated, very complicated. So it's later on in the evening, and it's back at Mel's cabin. And there's a truck pulling up into the driveway behind her car, where she's just sitting there, end of the evening, sitting having a glass of wine. She hears a knock at the door. She opens it up, and who is it? It's Jack. And he's like, hey, it's official. you lost your marbles. And he brings her the jar of marbles. And she's like, yeah, I was wondering where my sanity went. It's just one more example of why you can't live without Jack Sheridan. It's like, and they're just standing there kind of like very awkward, very awkward. And she's like, well, I went to see Charmaine. And he's like, oh, how did that go? She's not great. But I said my piece. So it is what it is. He's like, do you feel better? She's like, no, not really. And then he says that his mom says that you can't control what other people do, only how you react to it. And it's so cute. She's like, well, your mom sounds like a really smart lady. And she's like, oh, yeah, she's a firecracker.
And he says, she'd love you.
And
she has that awkward smile on her
both
face.
of them, they're just like, It's like they just look at each other like, He's like, yeah, well, maybe you'll get to meet her someday. She's like, yeah, maybe. I mean, they just keep like they don't know what to do with each other.
Yeah.
It's like, are we friends? Are we more than friends? If we cross the line, can we go back over the line? Or do we have to stay on this side of the line? Like, they're just like...
awkward situation.
It's a very, very awkward, and they just don't know what to say. And then, fortunately, the tension is broken by a knock at the door.
And boy, oh boy.
Surprise! Sorry I didn't call. And it's Stacy, Mark's sister. And Jack, fortunately, Jack's already aware of her. So she's like, oh, what's going on in between you two? Oh, I left something, and Jack was nice enough to bring it back. And she's looking at each other. They're all looking at each other, and Stacy's like, I don't want to chase you off. He goes, no, I've got things to do. I got to go close up. Bye-bye. Have a nice night. And Stacy's like, wow, that's the hottest lumberjack I've ever seen. And she's like, oh, no, that's Jack. Jack owns the bar. Mm-hmm. We're just friends. And she goes, oh, no judgment here. And then she's like, what are you doing here? And, well, I went by your old house and I saw the mail, had the address, and, here I am. And she goes, it's been like a really long time. She's like, yeah, since the funeral. And Mel apologizes for not keeping in touch. And she's like, yeah, well, I don't blame you. Mom didn't make it easy. Mel's trying to like compensate for that by saying, well, she's hurting. And Stacy's like, no, she's a narcissist.
A narcissist.
She is. Oh my God, she is. And Mel's like, yeah, you're right. She is. Gosh, this Stacy visit. Oh, painful. Yes. So Doc is sitting in the kitchen.
And his phone is ringing and he's not picking up.
No.
And we know who's calling.
Mm-hmm. He's just sitting in his kitchen, having a drink, just contemplating life.
And he's hurt. He's hurt.
Yes.
We see that Hope at the other end now, and she realizes it because she realizes he's not picking up the phone as such. Yeah. And so we have that. And then we go over to Charmaine, who's reading a magazine, and she's all of a sudden Jack comes into the room and, oh, Jack.
Oh, yeah, she perks up. She looked like somebody stole her dog 2 seconds before, and then the second Jack walks in, it's like she's all perky and excited. And he's like, hey, how's it going? And if you need anything, I'll be on the couch. And she's like, oh, are you going to spend the whole night? And he's like, I will, with one condition. And she's like, sure, yeah, no more gossiping about Mel. I mean, just leave her alone. And Charmaine is pissed. She's like, I can't believe she sent you. And Jack's like, no, she didn't send me. She'd probably be really mad if I knew I was even talking about it.
Exactly. But the thing about it is the fact that she has the unlitigated nerve to say that, considering she's the one who started this little pissing fight
contest
to begin with.
Yeah,
exactly. She threw the ball into the ring, and now she's upset because now Jack's on Mel's side and not her side. So all of a sudden she's offended. It's like, girlfriend, you need to pick your sides because you can't have your cake and eat it too.
That's the problem. She wants Jack, and she wants him any way she can get him. And the fact that his heart is not with her, she's going to make this very difficult. And so she tries to defend what she says, what she did, by saying, Jack, I have to be able to share things with my friends.
Oh, that's a bunch of crap, and you and I both know
and
it.
He was like, yeah, I get that. And she's like, no, do you get it? Because it seems like the only thing you care about is Mel. And I'm the one who's stuck here pregnant and sick in bed. And he's like, look, I'm just asking that you keep the personal stuff between us. Like, don't get the whole town involved. That doesn't help anybody. And she tries to tell him, well, I can't control how
Yeah.
information is spread or how people are going to feel about it. And he's like,
Mm-hmm.
look, just put a stop to it. And she's like, okay, fine.
And he says, thank
He
you.
just, I mean, he just looks worn down.
Yeah, and he's not happy.
No,
He's
he's
not
so
happy.
done. He's so done.
Because this situation has him already frazzled.
Yeah, and
And
then
he,
she just made it worse.
Yeah, she just added gasoline to the fire, basically. So it's just like, yeah.
And he just, I mean, honestly, he didn't want to be there. He didn't want to be there that night. So he
Nope.
showed up, he said hello, and he's just going to go. He's like, look, it's been a long day. I'll be on the couch. I'm going to sleep. Like, I can't anymore. I'm done. He's had it. So he just says goodnight, shuts the door. I mean, if all she wanted was him there, he fulfilled the request. She wanted more. She wants him to sleep next to her. She wants him to hold, all of that. And it's not happening.
Nope.
Now, at the same time, he's staring at this couch going, ugh. And Hope walks in and she's like, Jack, what are you doing here? He goes, I'm just going to sleep on the couch. He's like, yeah, is that all right? And she's like, yeah, let me get you some pillows and blankets. Like, she knows what a bad situation this is.
Oh, yeah.
And she really feels bad for him.
She does, because as we said before, Jack is like a son to her.
Yep.
Anyway, so
Mel and Stacy are at the cabin having a little glass of wine and chatting.
And she says, you want to hear something crazy? And she's like, sure, always. And Stacy says, I got engaged. And she says, oh, and his name is Paul. You don't know him. We work together. Technically, he's my boss, as she puts it.
Which is so not good, but whatever.
Yeah.
But Mel's just glad everything worked out for her. And then she pulls out the ring that he got her. And Mel's like, oh, wow, it's beautiful. And really, wow. And then
Mel
she's
wants, why is she not wearing the ring? And here comes the kicker.
She's like, well, it just doesn't feel right. And then she
says,
says that, the ring that Mark gave you. So she says that it doesn't feel right. That the ring that Mark gave Mel for their engagement was their grandmother's. That their grandmother, Mimi, practically raised them. And Mel's like, yeah, I know. You guys loved her very much. And she goes, well, when Mark was planning to propose, he asked Stacy if he could give Mel the ring. And Stacy says, I could never say no to my brother. And Mel's like, okay, I don't understand what you're getting at. And Stacy comes back with, well, now that Mark is gone, I'd like the ring back. And Mel is like taken aback. Like, what?
Mel just felt like she got sucker punched.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. She just felt it, because that came out of all the things that could have come out of Stacy's mouth, that Grandma Mimi's ring was not one of them.
No. And that's where they ended it. Like, cliffhanger once again.
Yep.
That's wow. Like, that's pretty ballsy.
Ballsy.
Your brother's been dead a year. Not even a year. It's not quite it's a year. No. And how dare she ask for the ring back? I mean, that's just wrong in so many ways.
It is, but
maybe Stacy's a little bit of a narcissist too.
Not like mother, like daughter, apparently.
Yeah. Little tidbit: the actress that plays Stacy, apparently she has a twin sister, and her and Alex Breckenridge have been friends. They've done other movies together. Probably been friends for like 15 years or more, I think it is. Really long time. So it's funny that people get to work together that have worked together. Like Tim Matheson, who plays Doc, and Annette O'Toole, Hope. They did a movie together back in 77. They played a married couple. And I think there was one other thing they might have done together. I know for sure they did one movie years and years ago. So it's kind of fun that people are getting to work together that used to work together or that have worked together in the past.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
Very cute.
So anyway,
well, we will do this again.
Another cliffhanger. Woo!
Well, take care.
Yes, have a lovely day until we meet again for another episode.
Bye.
Virgin River Season 2. Bye bye.